what I got. This beat is so hard. Oh my God.
Is that bullshit?
Fucking God.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Candy Shop Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Clemens, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, the Mike and Ikes themselves, Michael Plant and Ike Bonney. And today we're talking Week 1 NFL game previews. Fellas, how are we feeling with the NFL here? We are now officially a game and a half into the season. We're recording right now. The Packers, Eagles are going into halftime, 19-17. How do you guys feel about your fantasy teams? How do you feel about the NFL season so far? How's it going?
I haven't had many people playing so far, to be honest.
Not a Jaden Reed drafter, huh?
Guess not.
Dude, just going absolutely bananas in the first half for the Packers. Mike, how you feeling as a Packer fan? 19-17 lead going into halftime.
I like the aggressiveness of our defense, but man, our offense looks inept at sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Too many flags.
That's for sure. Both games, there's been so many flags, man. It's been
The one at the 5 on Ronnie Stanley last night, just crazy. Like, dude, look at you know what you're doing wrong. Figure it out.
And then you got the Chiefs tackle Jawad Taylor, right, who's getting a head start on every single staff. It's just leaving it be. It's fine. It's fine, right?
Not fine. That's why there's flags.
Right. Before we jump into our Week 1 game previews, I just want to remind everyone, please lightly tap that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for notifications so you know when we go live or a new video drops over at the channel. Also, head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans to become an all-access member. We get access to our award-winning rankings, draft cheat sheets. I know we're probably past most of our drafts now. You also get access to our F6P Discord where you get your custom league advice from anybody on the Fantasy Six Pack staff, and that truly is the best part. Mike,
Except
I
Dylan's
probably
the
should have
best.
known that. I probably should have known this before we started, but is there a promo code still for the, or no?
If there is, it's what is it? F6P 24.
NFL 24, I think. Yep.
Yeah,
If it's
try
probably
it.
like
What's the worst that can
15%.
happen?
Yeah,
What's
absolutely.
the worst that can happen?
Hopefully save a little cash. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into things here. Just to let everyone know, hey, Albert, just to let everyone know how we're going to do this year. We're going to go through game by game, and the two boys are going to give a player that they like and a player who they don't like, kind of a sweet and sour picks here.
No, it's
so
not kind of. You're beating around the damn bush here, Dylan. It is a sweet. We're a candy shop themed show.
Candy.
It is a sweet and sour pick. And, most of the time, Ike's picks are going to be sour just because he's sour.
I like it. All right, guys, let's jump right into it. And the first game here we got on the docket is the Arthur Smith revenge game. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers getting 3.5 points on the road, taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Ike, we're going to start with you, man. Let's start with the good. Let's start with the sweet. Who's your sweet player here for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I'm gonna go with London and Pitts. I decided to do both just because.
For the Steelers, huh?
I got it. Too.
Oh, I thought you did Falcons.
Well, he doesn't. Come on.
I thought
Dylan.
it was for either one.
It is for either one. You could just choose whichever one you want.
Oh, well, then I'm still going London and Pitts because I think Cousins likes to target the number one alpha receiver, and he likes to target tight end. Obviously, you saw that with Jefferson and Hawkinson the past 2 years. I just think it's going to work out well for them. Although it could be kind of like a slugfest type of game with probably Justin Fields starting. It might be like very run heavy for both teams, maybe. But I'm not sure.
I don't think that matters who the quarterback is for the Steelers, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slog no matter what. The Steelers defense I feel like might slow down Atlanta's offense to an extent here.
I think they would pass more with Russell if he was healthy. Like once he gets healthy, I think Fields is more of get Harris and Warren more involved.
Yeah,
if he's healthy.
What worries me about the Steelers' offense really is the offensive line. Albert, it's sounding like it might be Fields with Wilson having the calf issues. I read that he's going to go through a warm up on Saturday, see how he's feeling, and then go into Sunday and they'll figure something out.
I don't think Russell's playing.
Shefty did say the Steelers are leading Fields at this moment.
Yeah,
So I mean that workout has to be pretty good if Russell Wilson takes it back.
For sure. Mike, who's your sweet player here out of this matchup?
I mean, it shouldn't be no surprise here. It's Bijan Robinson.
Homer.
I wouldn't say it's a homer just because it's projection and expectation here. The projection is Bijan's going to get majority of the workload, 70-30, 65-35.
60-40 more likely.
I don't think so because
it's the first week. Why do you want to kill Bijan in a game like this where you can probably easily win?
you're not killing him, but it's more importantly the red zone work because with Kirk Cousins, the addition here, there's going to be more red zone work, and the expectation is that Bijan is going to get more red zone work. He's going to get more work in the passing game. Kirk Cousins is not afraid to check it down. And, the pass rush of the Steelers, is formidable. So, I mean, there could be some just, first read passes to Bijan Robinson. I just think because of the defensive strength of the Pittsburgh Steelers being secondary, I think Bijan's the winning player this week from this matchup.
All right.
I think Algier might be fine too if you're in a deep league.
Just
get in the end zone.
Also, Dylan, I don't think you did a very good job explaining what the sweet and sour really meant. Let me at least give you my perspective on it. Dylan, if you want to give your perspective, Ike, you want to, when you were doing this, tell me what you thought about when you were doing this. But when I think of a sweet pick, it's going to be a player that helps you win the week. When I think of a sour pick, this is going to be a player that, maybe it's a starter we are always going to start, but has a really bad matchup, and he's going to leave a very sour taste in your mouth after this week. It's just a week by week thing here. Like I'm curious,
how did sour, like someone that can.
It's
pretty
not
much a bust.
Yeah, it's not necessarily and it's the same with this the sweet picks because it can be a player you're still necessarily going to start, but the matchup is like game winning type of potential. Like for Bijan, the reason he's my sweet pick is because I think he's, locked in for at least a 20-point, half point PPR performance.
Well, if you're making him your pick, I definitely hope so.
It's that type of stealing
I'm
going with.
I hear you. But what are you going to go here with your sour pick? Who do you not like from this matchup here?
It's George Pickens. You get the potential here, like we talked about with what Albert brought up. Justin Fields is probably leaning to be the starter. Atlanta's offense, I know this is all last year. I'm going to be referencing it a lot, but it's all we have to go off of. And there's obvious changes to certain defenses that are we'll note and make people aware of. But for the most part, this is the best data to go with. Last year, Atlanta was the sixth toughest matchup against wide receivers, and they upgraded the secondary. They signed Jesse Bates. They locked down AJ Terrell. So, I do think that George Pickens is going to have a bust sort of week, and most people are going to be starting him from where they drafted him.
Yeah, I mean, just the volume might usurp it here, and that's what might make him relevant. We've seen Justin Fields just pepper his number one target at times if he's the quarterback, like he did for the Bears. And I also kind of like Pat Freiermuth if he's the quarterback as well. Ike, who's your
Falcons were favorable matchups for tight ends last year as well.
Ike, who's your sour guy here?
Pretty much me and LaPlante are on the right page, like Pickens, but I thought more of Pickens, Fields, and Freiermuth would probably struggle, more like Warren too, because he's dealing with injuries. I think Harris is probably the only guy from that offense I'd really even want to start. And that's just because volume. That's it. I think he'll get carries. He'll get some targets too, especially with Warren.
You did all with Warren because he's questionable. He might play.
Still, they're going to have him playing very limited then if he's still questionable right now.
With you guys not liking George Pickens here, Albert brings in a question here that I like. Are we going to go Michael Pittman here, or are we going to go George Pickens?
Yeah. I'm going Pittman.
I think I would lean Michael Pittman here as well.
I was going to Ike.
I guess
volume, Ike. Volume.
Volume of Michael Pittman for sure.
Yeah, especially when the backup quarterback takes him.
Josh Downs was downgraded out, so
that helps. Yeah.
All right, fellas. Next game we got here on the docket. Arizona Cardinals plus 6.5 on the road, taking on the Buffalo Bills. Mike, we'll start with you. Go ahead, give us your sweet or sour, whatever you want here, man. I'll let you take the wheel.
Why you gotta let me take the wheel? Let's go with the sweet pick here. It's James Cook. Cardinals were the premier matchup last year for running backs. I mean, can you name a new defensive player that the Cardinals got this year? Either one of you? No. So nothing has really changed. So Cook and Kincaid are the familiar pieces to Josh
Justin
Allen.
Jones came over from the Bears. Got one.
There we go. Boom.
Congratulations. Most people don't know who that is. But that was so
Good point by
delayed.
Jamie.
I was thinking, man.
But James Cook and Kincaid are the familiar faces here. With so many vacated targets, Josh Allen is probably going to lean to the people he is familiar with. And also, if this has blowout potential for the Bills, it's just more volume, better game script for James Cook. I think he's got game-winning potential this week.
I like that. Ike, how about you?
Well, since he did sweet, I will also do that. I'm going James Conner because when healthy, he is actually kind of a beast. In his last 5 games last year, he averaged 23.4 fantasy points per game. Didn't finish lower than RB5. Granted, that was last year. This year, they're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr., so they might pass it more, which also will mean less people in the box, so it's just easier for him to do better. So, yeah, that's my pick. Plus, the Bills' defense is depleted. Matt Milano's gone. He was the linebacker that covered the run extremely well and pass coverage too. And plus they got rid of both safeties, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts in the secondary for sure, which it makes for interesting stuff for sure. Who's your sour guy?
All of the Bills wide receivers except for Dalton Schultz. Or Kincaid. You don't really know what's going to happen. One's a rookie, Keon Coleman. You don't know exactly what his role is going to be. Curtis Samuel, hybrid type of player. They're going to give him some touches in the running game too, but he's never really hyper targeted, so you can't really trust him starting unless you got really bad options at wide receiver. And you can't trust Khalil Shakur right now. It just, you have to wait and see for this whole offense, really, to be honest. James Cook is really the only one other than Josh Allen and Kincaid that you want.
Shakir's probably the only one I trust out of the wide receivers.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up. If you had to start one wide receiver out of from this team, would Shakur be your guys' guy?
I would say Curtis Samuel because I think he'll get more touches. I think he'll get a few, at least 1 or 2 red zone carries probably. And he's usually pretty solid in the red zone as it is in receiving.
Yeah, and we got the most out of Curtis Samuel when Joe Brady was his offensive coordinator in Carolina. So he's got that going for him too as well. I feel like somebody from this receiving core is going to break out this week. I just wonder who it is, and I hope it's tight end Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too.
I have so many shares of that guy. But LaPlante, finish this up here in this matchup with your sour play of the week.
Oh, he's not gonna like me because it's James Conner.
Why?
Why?
The fuck?
I just think it because I hate you. That's why. No. It's because of the game script. It's also because I know Matt Milano is not there, but the D line for the Buffalo Bills they've invested in high draft picks into. So it's the old line for the Cardinals is not that great either.
But he still does good.
James Conner is good off of volume.
Exactly. Right? He's going to get a shit ton of volume this week.
Not if there's a negative game script.
He's still going to get the targets, though.
Marvin Harrison is now in town, boy. Trey McBride. Harrison, Trey McBride. They're going to get the targets over Conner.
Well, when Kyler's getting blitzed and running around like he always does, he's not going to have time to throw to Marvin Harrison right away. He's going to dump
McBride was
at least a few times.
Trey McBride was
cool. They had McBride last year when Connor did his thing averaging 23.4. Kyler was there too. Did they add another running back? Trey Benson? 3rd or 4th round pick? Yeah, no. He's not going to play.
He's a more talented back than James Conner.
No, I don't know.
Talent.
I don't like-
I'm
I don't
talking
like
just
that.
straight up talent.
We're
James
done.
Conner is a
Next.
volume-based fantasy running back. You
Next.
know that. You don't have the ability to just say next when I'm talking. I'm
I want to now because you just said a rookie's better than James Conner.
I'm talking talent. I never said he
You
was
have
better.
no idea how talented Trey
Just
Benson
because-
is. You have
just
never seen him in your life. Name one
Actually-
play. Do you even know where he went to school?
Trey Benson, Cincinnati.
Yeah. No.
Where'd he go then?
I don't even know, but it's not Cincinnati.
Then how are you gonna sit there? Oh my gosh! Now
It's
we
probably
should have because
FSU,
he
to
just
be
looks like an
honest.
idiot. It
It's
wasn't
probably FSU.
Jesus. I said more talented. First of all, you didn't even listen to me. So that was your first
Hey,
problem.
Well, first
I didn't
off,
say
I'm
better.
how can
I
he
said
be
more
more
talented.
talented if you have no idea who he is?
Faster, more explosive. I seen him in the combine.
Okay. See, I was
Albert,
right. Florida State had my
Albert
second
helping
one.
us out with Florida State.
It was Florida State. Nice.
It's very nice.
Good
I do
call,
got
Ike.
one quick follow up though,
Good call.
guys.
Good call.
Talking about James Conner. I had a start sit question earlier this week from a buddy of mine. Would you guys start James Conner in the flex, or would you start a guy like Christian Kirk this week?
James Conner for that matchup.
That's where you'd lean as well. Like, all right on. Next game we got here: Tennessee Titans plus
come
3.5
out
on the road. Taking on the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams. First game as the Chicago Bears quarterback. Looking forward to that. Ike, we'll start with you. Who is your sweet player in this Tennessee?
I'm going
against
Homer
Chicago
all day.
matchup?
I don't even care. Caleb. It's my guy. I think he'll be top 12 this week. I don't care what anybody else says. Going with it.
Nothing. You don't want to elaborate on anything?
Nope.
All right, I'll help you out. I like him this week. To be honest with you, too, a little bit. The Titans secondary got a little bit better with L'Jarius Sneed coming over, but just the weapons for Williams now, man. Keenan Allen, you got Rome Odunze, you got DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. So I'm still naming guys here.
And he can
a
run.
lot of yeah. So I like Caleb as well. Mike, who you going with is your sweet pick?
It's if he plays Keenan Allen. That's the thing is he did pop up with, I believe it was a hamstring injury, if I remember reading it correctly.
Sorry to interrupt you. Big play by AJ Brown for a touchdown.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow. We like that.
Eagles take the lead here. Big play too.
We
How
like
long?
that.
I don't
Looks
know.
like about 65 yards. 60.
yeah.
But Keenan Allen, if he plays, because he did pop up with, I believe it was a hamstring injury. Main reason is Tennessee does have a good matchup against wide receivers, 9th best last year, and they did improve it by signing L'Jarius Sneed, which is a guy that shadows the best wide receiver on a team, which is DJ Moore. So it's if Keenan Allen plays, DJ Moore is going to be shadowed by Sneed most likely. So if he doesn't play it, Dunze is a sneaky play this week, surprisingly.
Yeah, I see Keenan suiting up, man. It sounds like it's just precautionary why he's been limited and sitting out of practice. So, but Mike, who's your sour play for this week? Who don't you like here?
I don't like AJ Brown scoring on the Packers. I'm kidding. That's fun. That was a great pass. DeAndre Swift, third toughest matchup for running backs last year was the Tennessee Titans. I know it's a different regime, but it's still the same personnel for the most part on the D-line. Teams can just pass on the Titans. I think it's just going to be an easier route to go. Like DeAndre Swift can prove me wrong on this one if he catches a couple screens, three, 4 screens, which it's in his repertoire. But I just feel like it's going to be more of a split backfield with Herbert, where Herbert's going to get, probably 2 or 3 of those catches as well.
Yeah, I'm all right with that call, man. Ike, how about yourself here? Who's your sour play?
I'm going to have to agree with LaPlante. I think Swift might struggle for the most part. Like you said, the rush defense is really good for Titans. Jonathan Simmons is pretty solid. And plus, Caleb doesn't like to dump the ball off very much, except for that one play in preseason.
I don't love the running backs in this game, period, to be honest with you. Like, I'm uncomfortable starting Tony Pollard this week as well. I don't really want to start Tajay Spears.
But
Bears have a solid run defense as well.
Bears have allowed, I think, first or second most pass catches to running backs last year. So that's something to think about for who knows, Pollard or Spears.
That'll be interesting. That's a good point, because that'll be interesting to see if the Titans adapt with that, because that's not something Will Levis really wanted to do last year.
Right.
He is kind of a huck and chuck it football kind of guy. So it'll be interesting to see what the new offense looks like with the new regime in town here. But yeah, definitely don't like the running backs in this matchup. And then Jamie saying, like, do you agree that Allen has the bigger game over Odunze? You agree with Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, I tend to agree there.
I think Odunze will only be like more, maybe a deep pass for his play, a few targets here and there.
Good question from Albert here. So you'd start Caleb over Dak this week?
That was a question we had on
to
Joe's
Jamie,
show.
Yeah,
that was a question we had on Joe's show last night. If you want to check that one out too, Albert. But that one's Caleb over Dak. The Browns defense is not great. CeeDee Lamb didn't have as much training reps with Dak. So, I mean, timing is everything, and the defense is really good. They're going to interrupt timing that they don't even have. So I think it's a rough week for the Cowboys this week. I think they pull out the win, but it's a rough one.
Yeah, because I also think Watson's going to struggle too. So it might be a shit show at quarterback.
I actually don't think the Cowboys are going to win that game.
Really?
You don't? The Browns, yeah.
All right, Cowboys.
It's just been kind of a nightmare offseason for Dallas, man. Since the draft, since Jerry Jones is talking about Jonathan Brooks before he's even on his team at the podium. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't been great for the Cowboys so far. Go ahead, jumping into the next game here. Talk about a team that it's not going to be great for. We're looking at the New England Patriots, guys, getting 7.5 points on the road, taking on the Joe Burrow-led Cincinnati Bengals. Mike, I think it's you. We're going to go ahead and start with you, even if it isn't. Who are you going with as your
a good host would keep track. But
I mean, I've never said in my life that I was a good host. So
it's last year. Fuck it.
I hate you.
Okay.
So my sweet players this week is solely based on fear because T. Higgins is doubtful. Jamar Chase is questionable with the contract situation. Give me all of Zach Moss and Chase Brown. I just think it's going to be a Zach Moss
our guy
and Chase
Yoshabas, man.
I mean, yeah, it's just I don't think the volume will be there, man. I don't think the volume will be there.
Hey, how about Jermaine Burton, man? He might get a start if both are out.
Woohoo! So wide receivers typically break out second half. You know, unless your name's Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr., you're probably not going to break out right out the gate.
We'll let you elaborate on the running backs here, though, Mike. Why do you like the running backs in this matchup?
I mean, I just think that because, T. Higgins is already ruled out. Jamar Chase, if he plays, I'm off. I'm really choosing only one of these guys, and I lean Zach Moss. I'm more of a favorite of, Moss leaning going into week one.
Especially with this game script.
Yes. But, I mean, if Jamar Chase is out, T. Higgins is out, it is, Yosavas, it's Jermaine Burton. I mean, there's not a lot of familiar faces, and I know Zach Moss isn't a familiar face. That's why I'm throwing Chase Brown in there. But they did pay Zach Moss to come over here and basically replace what Joe Mixon was doing. It's not like Joe Mixon was very efficient when he was here either. So, I mean, if Zach Moss can just be, 70% of what Mixon, 80% of what Mixon was last year, that's RB2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that. I don't mind that call at all. Christian Barmore, the Patriots' best defensive lineman, twos deal with blood clots. I want to say scary situation there. So he's not playing, obviously. So that's a big hit there. Ike, who's your sour play in this matchup? Or sorry, your sweet play.
I was going to say, I think you skipped me. But for my sweet, I'm also going running back. But on the other team, Ramondre Stevenson, only because I think he's going to get a shit ton of volume. They're probably going to be down. They're going to throw it to him. I would hope.
Gibson was questionable too.
Okay, that helps a lot better then. So, yeah, he could see a decent amount of targets. They're going to want to get him running too so, they can keep the ball out of Burrow's hands to start. Plus, I heard earlier in the offseason the new coach is doing outside runs more instead of inside, which they did last year for Ramondre, which Ramondre wasn't as good. He's better at the outside runs. So maybe that'll help him out too in the running game. So that's my sweet pick. He can get you a top 15, 12 running back finish, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex Van Pelt coming over from the Browns and that Kevin Stefanski zone run scheme will definitely help Ramondre there. That's for sure. But I was really hoping. I agree with JB here. I was hoping you guys were going to say Mike Gesicki. We've been waiting for the tight end to break out in the Bengals offense for years, man, with Joe Burrow. Why can't it be Gesicki this week? It's probably, I feel like, and I have no idea if this is going to be true, but I feel like he's going to be one of the higher rostered tight ends in all of DFS this weekend, right?
The only thing is Joe Burrow.
I mean, yeah, in DFS,
tight ends. He did do it in college. He didn't do it in pros.
But maybe those tight ends he's had just aren't any good. You're looking at Hayden Hurst. You're looking at.
I mean, he did have Thaddeus Moss in LSU, the son of Randy Moss. Come on.
That's interesting though. But I just wanted to bring that up, and I'm glad Jamie brought Gesicki in the chat too, for sure, because it's definitely an interesting thought. And I don't hate a streaming option here. If you're down real bad at tight end, like you missed the run and everything in your draft, if you got to go Gesicki this week, I don't have a huge problem with it.
Watch it be Drew Sample be the guy instead.
Like, who's your sour play?
Oh, man. You're not going to like this just because it's weird. But I think Joe Burrow is sour. I don't think he's going to have to do much to win this game. I think like Mike LaPlante said, they might just dump it or run it to Zach Moss 20 times, let him score a few. Joe Burrow is going to be without some weapons, some pretty important weapons maybe, with Jamar Chase too. So it's sketchy to be playing him in the first week. I benched him for Jared Goff. So
would you play Caleb Williams over, Mike? You already said you were high on Caleb. Would you play him against the Titans over Joe against the Patriots?
I would. I'm doing it. Yeah.
Christian Watson touchdown.
Oh wow.
See that too. Yeah.
Actually,
we thought last night's game may have been a shootout. This one is definitely
can't even watch it
here. 25-24 we got here. Packer lead.
Oh, my Jordan Love, Christian Watson, best ball stacks. Love that.
I don't love that going against Jordan Love. But Mike, who is your sour play from this Patriots-Bengals matchup?
I mean, for all the same reasons that I laid out, it's Joe Burrow. I mean, plus, the Jamar Chase uncertainty, T. Higgins doubtful. I mean, I just don't think Joe Burrow, like, you drafted to start him, and I wouldn't be starting him. Like I said, I'd be, if you got someone like Jared Goff, Caleb Williams is a little, just because we don't entirely know. And like the reason we like him over Dak Prescott is the matchup, where the matchup, for the Patriots is actually pretty good against Joe Burrow. It's not like that defense is.
And he's done good against Patriots before. Just
exactly. So like Caleb, man, that one's a tough one, but it's Joe Burrow is my sour pick this week.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, and he could be game scripted out pretty early if they go out to a big lead and they score on the ground, like you guys said. So yeah, I don't hate the call there. Next game here, we got a battle in the AFC South, guys. The Houston Texans -3 heading into Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Ike, we'll start with you. Who is your top play in this matchup, my friend?
Stephon Diggs. He's going to show why he is the elite dog.
Calling your shot, huh?
Oh, yeah. He still saw the targets at the end of last year. He just wasn't.
Dylan, does he have Stephon Diggs on his team?
I do not. Dylan has him.
Okay.
Dylan's over there, yes. Diggs fan. He is the alpha dog in that offense. You can't tell me Tank Dell.
The money says otherwise with Nico Collins, but that's just me speaking.
Isn't Nico like a second or third rounder?
I mean,
$72 million why or 72 million reasons why.
Yeah, a lot more reasons than Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs has the track record of being an alpha for the past few years. Easily helped Josh Allen revitalize or make him into a star quarterback. So how come we can't do it for CJ Stroud?
Oh,
like
I wasn't
it,
saying that to you. That was to Albert's question.
Plant your flag. What's Albert got for us?
That's what I said. You're planting your flag. I mean, that's a little hot take-ish, not gonna lie. But I like Albert's question here. I would start Baker over Burrow.
Oh boy, it's gonna be. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be raining like none other in Tampa.
It's in Tampa. I mean,
Ooh, yeah, against the
still like
Commanders. That's interesting.
I like Baker.
I'm not gonna answer that.
I'll have to look again. If it's raining, don't play Baker.
I'm with Jamie. Jamie likes him as a sleeper this week.
Mike, who's your sweet guy in this matchup?
Anthony Richardson. So I knew Ike was gonna give me a visceral reaction by saying that. But it is, all like this, like we said, this is week one projections. You don't think Anthony Richardson, he's human. He hears all the criticism, about how he can't stay healthy. He can't throw the ball. Don't you think he wants to come out and prove himself, this week? Divisional matchup.
I think so.
Exactly. So shut your face. I mean, this is just me projecting wise, because we're also talking about a guy that averaged over 20 points a game when he did play. So Texans were 9th best matchup last year.
What, like the 1.5 game he played?
No, he played 4 games, asshole. But like Jamie said, the cornerbacks like Stingley and Jalen Petrie for the Texans are pretty difficult. So I think just Anthony Richardson exploits, the ground game in this one.
Yeah, I think Richardson will be fine because his floor is a rusher, but I don't like this matchup for him as a passer. Those corners, that secondary, that entire team, their pass rush.
His ceiling can be all the rushing. We've seen it. Well, the ceiling is just a bigger ceiling, a higher ceiling when we can actually see the passing.
Well, the rush, right? The rushing is his floor, Mike. I'm saying he'll have a solid floor. If he gives you anything through the air, that'll be a plus. But I don't know if that's going to be in this matchup. Houston's defense scares me. But I think you drafted Anthony Richardson where you drafted him. You invested in him. Most likely, you're going to start him this week. But I don't see a ceiling game coming from him. I don't see him having. I feel like
people are thinking it's going to be a shootout because it's the Texans, and there is absolutely no chance Anthony Richardson can get in the shootout.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about it getting in a shootout, but especially with it being
why else are you starting him
within a divisional game because of that rushing floor? Like you got that rushing floor. Like
Will Anderson is going to be on him like none other.
I mean, great. That's why I'm laying out. It is definitely a scary play, but I think you're still playing him this week. Mike going out on a limb, making him his sweet play, like a lock it in guy, is definitely interesting here, but I love his conviction. So, Mike, I'll kick it back to you. Who is your sour play in this matchup of the Texas Colts?
It's just reactionary because of, me thinking Richardson exploits the ground. It's Jonathan Taylor. I just think Taylor will probably have a decent, he'll probably have 100 yards rushing. I just don't think he gets a touchdown. I think when they get into the red zone, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked if we see Anthony Richardson have like 3 rushing touchdowns. Would it surprise you? I mean,
it would.
It just 3. No, it wouldn't surprise you.
He's never had 3.
He said 2 in a game. What's one more?
I'm just saying, why would they want to keep doing that? I'm sure they're going to want. If Jonathan Taylor's rushing for 100 yards, they're going to get him a touchdown.
I also just question.
They're going to be like, all right, you deserve this.
I question how much they're going to be in the red zone too, given Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor both the ability to get the ball in the end zone.
Well, I mean, if you expect, the Texans to just roll over the Colts, I mean, it is a. I was going to say, if you do, it's a good game script. If it's not, it's a neutral game script because we don't expect them to be rolling the Texans either.
I feel like a 24-20 game is a solid score.
That's why I say Taylor is in this, but I just don't. Here, I don't have. I wouldn't be taking the touchdown prop bet on him this week. Basically, is how I feel. I know touchdowns are hard to predict, but that's just how my gut feels. It's just like, Ike wanted to play, Xavier Worthy. Go for it.
You would so bad.
Go for it. I mean, but 3 total touches. Process says no.
It actually would have worked out considering he scored twice, but it's just not worth that risk.
Exactly.
Yep. Ike, your sour play, man. Who you got?
Anthony Richardson, man.
Did I already lay it out for you?
Don't bug me.
So his number one option is getting guarded by quite possibly a top 10 cornerback who we've seen on this comments is really good, Derek Stingley. So there goes Michael Pittman, done. Not very well. All right. Who do you got at tight end? Nobody you can name. Who's the other wide receiver? Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver. Cool. Put on Jalen Piter or whoever else you can. Put him on him. Make Anthony Richardson run all he wants. Take as many hits as he can. See if he can last. I would love to see if he can last 15 to 20 hits.
You're not supposed to root for injuries, Ike, and you're the only person
I'm not.
I know.
I legit think the dude is made of glass. He was injured in over 75% of his games last year. And
I don't.
the 3 biggest things: head injury, shoulder injury, which was his throwing arm, and a leg injury. That's not good for a running quarterback or a throwing quarterback.
When you have a season-ending injury, you're probably going to have a high percentage.
That's who's going to score right there, Kyle Granson.
He does. I do. I mean, I agree with Ike to an extent here. He's got to figure out how to not take as many hits. I don't know how he's going to figure it out. He hasn't been a sliding type of guy, but he has to figure it out.
Put him on the slip and slide.
I get why you're skeptical, Ike. I really do. Do I think you take it over the edge a little bit? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're teetering on the edge there, but
teetering on Dylan's brother Hedge.
He's the one that drafted him in a league, so whatever he says means nothing.
He panicked. He didn't want to do
nothing
it.
to me.
Panic. Said not to panic. All right, guys. Moving on to the next game. You guys both had everything there, I think. Yeah, we'll move on. Jacksonville Jaguars getting 3 points on the road. Miami Dolphins. I kind of like the Jags in this matchup, guys, if I'm being honest with you. But
it's gonna be hot.
Ike, you finished.
It's gotten hot in her.
We're just gonna start with you here. Who's your sweet player for the Jags or for the Dolphins?
Both Miami running backs, which LaPlante I'm sure loves to hear. Jaguars allowed the most catches to running backs, only by 2 to the Bears in 2023. So that's something to look out for. I don't know who that benefits more. Maybe Achane.
Both. I think it's both of them.
I think both just get targets.
Both of them can do it. Yeah.
So
we can just tag team this one, Ike, because they're my sweet players too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
all right, I mean, Miami running back.
You laid it out nicely with the matchup. I mean, and we saw it last year. I mean, they're both going to be used in this offense. Our Mostert was RB4 in fantasy points per game, and Achane was RB5. I mean,
yeah,
they're both.
Let's Jalen Wright be the one to score too. Fuck.
It'll be interesting to see how much run if Jalen Wright gets run at all. So it'll be interesting. If he does say he plays 25% of the snaps, that would just drive everybody nuts. if that happened too. And Jamie's in. Go pick up Wright before it's too late.
I just don't think Wright will be used that much this week.
Unless it's an
obviously an injury. But if it's an absolute blowout, then I can see Wright being in here. But
deep league, if you're in 16 team,
go pick him up, stash him. I mean, who would you rather stash, Trey Benson or Jalen Wright?
Jalen Wright, man. The only way Trey Benson, Mike, is relevant is if James Conner's not on the field. He's a high.
How is Jalen Wright relevant then? We just laid it out. A blowout or an injury?
Because we've seen him be good, and we've seen his head coach have the willingness to use multiple running backs. Repeatedly.
Yeah, we've seen Miami even use Salvin Ahmed randomly.
Like James Conner's going to be the guy there as long as he's healthy. I have no interest in Trey Benson outside of just a handcuff for James Conner, if I'm being honest with you. When I interviewed Bo Brock while we were doing the beat reporter interviews, he said Trey Benson showed flashes in camp that he's a solid player. But he's not going to get much run, man, unless Conner's off the field. And I honestly,
which can happen at any point because he gets injured.
It probably will happen.
Yeah, but
Let's-
I mean, you
either
don't see James Conner, getting rest and a change of pace back coming in as Trey Benson.
I mean,
I
it's
see
fine.
Conner getting 20 plus touches like he
Yeah.
always does.
I see
Yeah,
Connor getting
Benson
20
maybe
touches.
20.
I don't see him getting anywhere near, 25 plus.
I see Benson getting 25% snap share, and Connor is going to be about 75.
If all three running backs get
Would
30.
be my guess. But Mike, who's your
Kind of
sour
about-
play in this matchup? With matchup of the Floridians.
I can't remember who brought it up earlier with the question with Christian Kirk, but it's Christian Kirk. He's my sour player here. When the depth chart came out, he wasn't even listed as a starting wide receiver. So I mean, the whole rumors were he wasn't playing in 2 wide receiver sets. I know you did the beat writer interview with him. He said the same exact thing. So this is good information. I mean, this is, projection. This could all change once the season starts. But, I mean, it's just bad vibes all around for Christian Kirk right now.
I agree.
There was so much love for Brian Thomas Jr. this offseason and recently, to be honest with you. And, yeah, Daniel Griffiths was the beat reporter, the reporter we had on, and he was talking about it. Christian Kirk, it was Gabe Davis and it was Brian Thomas who were the 2 wide receivers in 2 wide receiver sets. So Christian Kirk's going to be a slot guy. He's going to be efficient when he's on the field. He's going to be solid, but I tend to
Basically,
agree.
when he's on the field, he'll
love
get the target or he'll be the primary option. Just don't expect what he did last year.
Yeah, agreed. So he's your sour play as well. We're out on Christian.
Yeah,
Kirk.
I agreed with the plan.
At least for this week until we see something different.
I think if
something
anyone,
positive.
it's going to be an Etienne type week.
Yeah, definitely. This game might have some sneaky shootout potential here, guys, as well, to be honest, with Miami's.
It makes me scary. Etienne was almost my sour pick.
Etienne
He was almost my sour pick, just because if it does get to shootout potential, I just feel like the game script doesn't favor Etienne. But then I'm like, he may
Well,
get
the
some.
passes ain't going to Bigsby, so.
Well, I'm like, he may get some, just some easy dump offs. If it is a shootout, they get into they see a lot of red zone attempts. I can see him just capitalizing on one of them and just not exactly being a bust. And that's why I see Christian Kirk being more of the bust.
Yeah, and I think Etienne will be solid each and every week too, because Mikey kind of alluded to it, the dump offs. And the offensive line for the Jaguars is atrocious.
I also don't think
they're
they're going to be blowing anybody out to where they'll have to put in Tank.
Yeah, there's going to be dump offs to Etienne. There's probably going to be some dump offs to your guy, Evan Ingram, Mike. He's not going to see 157 targets again or whatever it was. But
40.
115, 120, somewhere around then. I kind of like Evan Ingram in this matchup as well. Like I said,
I like 130. 130 is a good
shootout.
130
Shootout
would be
potential here.
incredible for him.
You want to talk about a game that doesn't have shootout potential, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, and that's going to be this next one. The Carolina Panthers, who are getting plus 4 points on the road, taking on the New Orleans Saints. Michael Plant, my friend, we'll start with you. We'll let you take the wheel again. Your sweet or sour play. Who you got?
My sweet pick this week, and Ike will love it, is Kamara. Carolina Panthers last year was 6th best matchup for RBs, and this season, you know what the Panthers did in the offseason? They pretty much just invested all into the offense to help Bryce Young, which rightly so, they needed to. But that just means, they didn't really invest in the defense. They, traded Brian Burns. So I feel like Kamara's got an easy matchup here. Kendra Miller's on the pup. It's just Jamal Williams behind him. The only way I could see Kamara not being a sweet pick this week is if Taysom Hill vultures him in the end zone.
Well, that's going to happen, man. That's just what it is.
At the most inopportune time, too. I'm
Yeah.
already ready for it.
Yeah, it's true. Taysom Hill's their Swiss Army knife in the red zone, man. That's to me. Derek Carr is completely unusable in fantasy, to be honest with you, outside of super flex leagues, and you don't even want him there, to be honest with you, because you're never comfortable with him. Taysom Hill's gonna be close to 10 touchdowns, whether he's throwing it, rushing it, man. It doesn't matter. This offense is just so infuriating.
That would have been a good segue for our sour pick.
Yeah, too bad we're not good at this. But who's your sweet pick, Ike?
My sweet pick is actually Deontay Johnson.
Ooh, okay.
Bryce Young hyper targeted the shit out of Adam Thielen last year to start. Like, there are multiple instances where he saw 10 plus targets. Deontay Johnson's in town now. He should be the guy that's getting those targets. I don't even care if it's 10 targets, 8 catches for 60 yards. That's still 14 points, which is fine enough for wide receiver 3 flex. Totally okay with that.
And new head coach Dave Canales comes over.
Yeah.
And he's just loving up on Deontay Johnson, saying we're scheming him up to get the ball. Where our number one goal is, where's Deontay Johnson in this offense? They're gonna do everything they can to get him the football. So I like
it should help Bryce Young out too. So
yeah. Dave Canales, man, QB whisper ish.
Maybe
Smith, Baker Mayfield helped them out, revive their careers. It'll be interesting. But let's jump right into the sour pick. Like, who you got here from this matchup?
Chris Olave. We just talked about how Derek Carr is kind of last year in over half his games, Chris Olave was a wide receiver or worse than a wide receiver 2. So he's unfortunately turned into a boomer bust type wide receiver. But unfortunately, you drafted him as a wide receiver 1, borderline wide receiver 1. So be prepared for the ups and downs all year. It's not going to be great.
Yeah, I agree. LaPlante, where are you going here with your sour pick?
With the sour pick, I am leaning Chuba Hubbard. The matchup is tough. 9th toughest matchup against RBs last year. The Saints aren't good at much, but they are good at stopping the run. That is one thing that they are good. They're good at stifling the run. So I think Chuba Hubbard is going to get a lot of volume, but it's just going to be ugly, nasty, disgusting, vile volume. So I just, and you know, you're starting Chuba
60 yards.
And you're hoping he falls into the end zone.
Yeah, you're hoping if he falls into the end zone,
maybe.
he's not sour. But if he doesn't get in the end zone, he's sour.
Yeah, if this is the one game you're totally locked into, you're either a Panthers fan, a Saints fan, or a total degenerate, because this game's going to be very, very gross to watch, I feel. Kind of maybe the same thing about this next game we're going to talk about, and that's the Minnesota Vikings, who are road favorites by 2 points over the New York Giants. Mike, did I give you your sour pick? You did give your sour pick.
Yeah, you went to me first last time, so take it away.
All right, go ahead.
My sweet pick is Malik Neighbors. I think he's going to be absolutely heavily targeted in this offense. We saw it in preseason when Dan Jones was playing. He basically threw it to Malik Neighbors again, and maybe one other person, which was Slayton. So if you're scared of Slayton, I'm sorry. You probably shouldn't be. Malik Neighbors is that guy. I think he should see 10-plus targets, and you can't bench somebody who should see that type of workload, no matter how bad the offense.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the other guy in the pass catching room who may do something is Wan'Dale Robinson, just in that short.
I keep hearing a lot about him, too.
He's a guy you can just get the ball into his hands, and he can go a little bit. And,
they need to get him more touches in the backfield. Use him like Curtis Samuel a little bit.
Michael Plant from College Football 25, give him those touch passes, man, and all that goofy stuff.
You want to talk about Mickey Mouse offense? Last time I played him, he had a Mickey Mouse offense.
You're just jealous because I have a quarterback, running back, wide receiver that can do everything.
I opened the floodgates. Sorry, listeners. Nobody really cares about our
Nobody cares.
25 dynasty. Mike, who you going here? Who you planting your flag on here for this matchup?
For this one, it's the same as Ike. It's Malik Neighbors. Just so much volume. We saw it in the preseason, like Ike said. And it's a decent matchup. 4th best last year for wide receivers against the Vikings. Now they, I can't remember who they signed. I think it was, Jamie, help me out. I know you're an IDP guy, but they signed a cornerback. And I just think it'll be a little tougher. That's why I say it's probably not 4th best.
Not worth it.
But it's going to be a decent matchup, and Malik Neighbors just going to see so much volume.
Devin Singletary might not be bad either. I wouldn't mind playing him in the flex in a deepish league.
Yeah, he'll be a flex stuffer, but I don't think he'll win you the week.
No.
This game's just going to be gross,
Albert,
guys.
Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they signed. Thank you. I knew they signed a big name, but I couldn't remember which one. It was an older vet.
Why the
Thank
hell
you, Albert. Appreciate you, my man.
Mike, who you out on this week?
I am out on Aaron Jones. It's just my main reason here is Giants D line is absolutely stacked. It's the strength of their D. Brian Burns they traded for from the
got good
Panthers.
linebackers too. Okay.
They got decent linebackers as well. They got Kayvon Thibodeau, the former first-round pick. They got Dexter Lawrence. Like, this is just going to be a tough matchup. If Aaron Jones, proves me wrong and is not a sour pick, it's solely based off of just dump-offs and PPR work.
Yeah, he's going to see it. I feel like he's going to see a decent amount of volume, so it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Ike, who you got here?
Going off what LaPlante said, that defense might cause quite a lot of havoc for Sam Darnold in that offense. I don't want to say it because I know it's going to be weird, but Justin Jefferson very well could lose you this week. If Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence can easily live in the backfield on Sam Darnold and make him see ghosts, and what are you going to do when he's seeing ghosts? It's going to be over. So, obviously, you got to start Justin Jefferson. He is the best wide receiver, but don't be surprised if he.
I'm glad you had the balls to do this because I thought about it.
I thought right as it clicked when you said Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon. I'm like, dude, he's not. Sam Darnold's gonna be just scared for his life.
Darnold's going back to the place where he saw the ghost too, man. Not ideal. It's definitely not ideal, so I don't hate that call at all. Mike, your quarterback, Jordan Love, just threw an interception as well on the wrong side of the field, so not ideal.
Yeah, it's fun.
There. We got into the afternoon games here now, guys. We got the first one, the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Ike, we'll start with you. Who do you got this week as your sweet play out of this matchup? Interesting matchup, too, I might say.
Devontae Adams. Easy.
I like him.
Against Chargers last year in 2 games, he averaged 12.5 targets per game. I expect the same this year, like maybe 10, but still, he should be heavily targeted in this game. Just fire him away.
You like Devontae more or less with Gardner as at the helm?
Way more with Gardner. Look what he did with Michael Pittman last year.
Volume.
Everybody thinks Michael Pittman's fantastic. I think he kind of and Gardner was able to get him a wide receiver.
You just don't like anybody that got paid this offseason. Pittman gets paid.
Or anybody that no, it's kind of more like anybody who's not super fast.
I think it's more based on the Colts.
That's in college football, man. I
like Jonathan Taylor. I like Jonathan Taylor, but anybody else on that offense for the Colts, kick rocks.
You like Devontae Adams? He's not that fast.
That's because he's the best route runner and the best wide receiver in the game at me.
Ike's the dude from Cars. I am speed.
I am speed.
Ike, LaPlante, who you got here for your sweet play?
My sweet play is also Devontae Adams. I don't like how much me and Ike are agreeing. Minshew hyper-targeted Pittman last year. Pittman was 9th in targets last year for wide receivers. Did you guys know that? Volume.
I
did, because that guy after that guy said that to us at the bar, I looked it up to see where he was in targets actually, so I did know he was 9th.
I just feel like Minshew being the name of the starter, I feel like it's beautiful for Devontae Adams. In PPR formats, half PPR, it's not as great.
Agreed.
What about Jacoby Myers, guys? Is he someone who I'm just putting you both on the spot? Figure it out. He's
just going to boom or bust. I don't think he's got consistency because the way
I think he's good for your flex and deep leagues.
Yeah,
12
if you're
plus.
in 12 plus, you can play Jacoby, but man, it's like playing Xavier Worthy. He might get you 2 touchdowns and he might get you 0 catches.
He's better than Xavier Worthy for fantasy. He was like a wide receiver 25 or something last year.
I know, but I'm worried with the way Antonio Pierce wants to run this. They got a full off season to run his, he just did it on the fly last year. I'm curious, like it just feels like they are going to be what we expected the Cowboys to be when Mike McCarthy took over. They're going to be just really run heavy. They're going to be like the Chargers when how Harbaugh wants to
wait to the moon.
Yeah. Oh no. Another touchdown by Barkley.
Damn.
Mike, who's your sour picker?
Oh man. My sour pick is the Chargers running backs. I think they'll get, they're going to be feeling out the situation this week. So it's going to be more of a split, backfield. I don't like the matchup against the Raiders either. It's not a great matchup against that D line. So I just Chargers RBs are my sour players. I wouldn't be starting them this week.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to be a wait and see with them guys as well, just to see how the backfield shakes out. Is it going to be Dobbins? Is it going to be Gus Edwards? Is it going to be Kamani Vidal? Who knows at this point? Maybe it's probably going to be all three and piss us all off. But who's your sour guy here? Who you out on this week?
Justin Herbert. Been out on him all off season, which what I've seen fantasy analysts have been. Think it's going to be very run heavy. We've seen what Jim Harbaugh likes to do. He did in Michigan. He did in San Francisco.
I feel like that's a lower hanging fruit than my Chargers RBs.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is I don't necessarily agree with it because I feel like Justin Herbert is a guy who could be super efficient. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah.
Have a Brock Purdy-esque season, but just not have the weapons.
He's not that accurate. He's never been that accurate. He has to throw 40 times to get what he needs. We've seen him miss wide open wide receivers consistently.
I mean, I hear you a little bit, but I don't know. I just pictured in this
maybe
offense,
Harbaugh makes him more efficient.
Yeah, and Roman, we've kind of seen quarterbacks in that system be a little bit more efficient. Like I could see Herbert 22 of 28 for 240, 2 touchdowns. He'd be all right with that.
What I don't want
to see, decent too.
I don't want to see Herbert running more than 5 times a game. Now that Roman is the offense corner, I don't want to see him doing that. I don't want to see him playing like Lamar. Come on.
Nah,
do what he's supposed to do and throw the ball. If your running game's not working, let him throw the ball to the receivers you did not do anything for him.
Yeah. All right. I hear you. Let's go ahead. Let's check out the next game here. We got the Denver Broncos +6 on the road against the Seattle Seahawks. Mike, my friend, we'll start with you. Who's your sweet pick here?
My sweet pick this week is Ken Walker. Denver was the second best matchup last year for running backs. I'm not buying into the hype that Sharps and Ken Walker is a running back by committee. It's all Ken Walker, full steam ahead.
Right, Javonte Williams, man. That's where I'm going. Weird. Seahawks allowed 5th most catches to running backs last year. They were top 5 in points allowed to running backs last year as well. If you're going to throw to anybody, it's going to be Javonte Williams because P. Ryan is gone.
With Bo Nix starting too.
And Bo Nix.
I'm so intrigued to see what the Seahawks defense looks like with Mike McDonald coming over from the
That is also intriguing too. That he is a really good defensive coordinator, so he might be able to draw up some shit for that defense. They just don't have very many talented
don't talk about
players.
My guy Spoon like that. Don't come out Devin Witherspoon like that. Don't you do it.
Other than Devin Witherspoon.
Thank you.
Who's the other corner? Tariq Woolen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, other than that, which is good for the passing game, they don't have much of a pass rush, so it'll be interesting to see.
All right. Who you out on? Check the notes.
Hey, who you out on?
This one's tough because you don't really know what's going on with the Seahawks receiving game. I think JSN is going to turn into the alpha eventually. It's going to like work its way this year into next year. DK is more of the touchdown threat. Lockett's in the past. So if my bust would be DK, he has to score for it to be worth starting. I don't see him seeing 10 plus
You
targets.
say your sour pick is DK?
Yeah, and I'm usually
that
the
hurt
DK
your soul?
guy. Yeah.
That hurts your soul, man.
He's gonna get Surtain too, man. That's not ideal.
No.
We've seen DK get shut down at times. We've also
Yeah,
seen him be we've also seen him be awesome. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm a little nervous with
his boom
Surtain
bust
matchup.
for sure.
I don't hate that call at all. Just Tyler Lockett is a little bit dinged up here.
That felt too easy. Like everybody knows you're probably not starting him.
JSN is the mystery box here. We want to see how he's used in this offense with it's Ryan Grubb as the offensive coordinator.
Many people have said he is better than Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave already, and that includes Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Ohio State's wide receiver coach Brian Hartline, and Ohio State's head coach Ryan Day. So the dude is talented, apparently.
Yeah. We just need to see it, and hopefully we see him utilized a little bit more this year.
We're seeing Josh Jacobs involved in the passing game, boys. Let's applaud. This is something we haven't seen in a long time.
He caught 60 passes like 3 years ago.
No, 2 years.
3 years ago. You're right. I was gonna say you're referencing that far.
Mike, who's your sour guy here in this Broncos Seattle matchup?
It's part of the reason why, because I battled back and forth between Ken Walker and Javonte Williams as my sweet pick. So I agree with Ike about Javonte being a sweet pick this week, and it's all the more reasons I believe that my sour pick is Cortland Sutton. Best part of the defense for Seattle is their secondary. Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon back there. Their D-line is questionable. A lot of the times offenses were just able to run the ball on them last year. And that's part of the reason why they were, ran so many offensive plays last year is because they couldn't stop the run. We got to see them try to stop the run, So I just, the combination of a rookie QB and Bo Nix, first starting game, I'm benching Cortland Sutton this week if you started him. I mean, if you drafted him.
Yeah, I don't mind that call at all, man. The problem is it's very possible he could see a touchdown because it's really him in the passing game. I don't know. Cortland Sutton is like when you drafted him, everyone's just looking around like, oh, this is gross. But as we look in the future, could it be like, I know, could we look at the future and he be like wide receiver 20 on the year and be pretty
more like wide receiver 30. He had 10 plus touchdowns last year and he didn't even finish wide receiver 2.
Just he's just not really a volume type of receiver, Go ahead and jump into the next game here. We got the Dallas Cowboys going on the road to take on the Cleveland Browns. Dallas getting 2.5 points on the road. Corey was bringing up how we're feeling about the Browns on Sunday. I actually said I think the Browns are going to win, Corey. And Vegas is with me, favoring the Browns by 2.5. The offseason for Dallas hasn't been ideal. A lot of off the field drama and all that. Mike, we'll start with you. Who is your sour play in this matchup between the Cowboys and Browns?
A sour play, huh? Deshaun Watson.
Whatever.
For my sour play, I'm going to Deshaun Watson.
Low hanging fruit.
I think Micah Parsons just absolutely lives in his backfield and just makes life hell for him. Plus, if you want to throw it to Amari Cooper, you got Trevon Diggs just absolutely locking him down. Obviously, you're without Duran Bland, and you lost Stephon Gilmore and all that. But still, I think the Cowboys' defense should be fine enough to hold down a Deshaun Watson-led offense. That is not great.
I think most defenses could.
I'm glad you agree, because he sucks.
Who you got here, the plan for your sour play?
It's the Cowboys RBs, just the defensive matchup. very tough
Mine was
matchup
low
against
hanging, and you
Wicked.
picked the fucking group that had.
Not
give
true,
me
because
give me 0 of Dallas's running back in this matchup. I agree
Well,
100%.
that's
It's
the thing is though
absolutely
is there are 0 RB drafters out there that drafted
not this
Zeke.
one. I mean, I drafted Zeke, but he is so far down my bench. It's not even funny.
I know, Dowdle. It's Dowdle might come out and be the guy. I'm a Dowdle believer, but it's not going to be this.
Fuck you talking about? It's gonna be Deuce Little Man Vaughn.
Oh sure, yeah.
Watch, just watch.
Ike's not a height supremacist.
Mike, turn your head. Look at your monitor here while I ask Ike who his.
They just
sweet
missed
play
this
is.
field goal. You piece of shit! Why are you gonna ruin it for me? Why
Ike,
are you
who's
gonna ruin it
your
for me like that? God
sweet play in
damn
this
it! We
matchup?
can't make field goal. Well, we're 2 or 3.
It's gotta be CD. What the hell else are the Cowboys gonna do other than hyper target the number
Could
one
have picked a
receiver?
What a
Browns
doink.
player.
Who?
I don't know. Why you get paid? The
You
big
can't pick
bucks, man.
Deshaun Watson because he's gonna get demolished by Micah Parsons. You can't pick Amari Cooper
Who do you-
because
who do you pick?
Watson's getting demolished by Micah Parsons, which makes him not be able to throw. You can pick Jerome Ford, but
But why are you picking CD as your?
because
as
he
your
can win
sweet
you the
pick?
week. He can
But you
easily see 15 targets, 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. That's
He
enough
can
to
easily
win
be
you
on a
the week.
snap count too.
You just spewed
Why
to
do you
me
think
all
he'll be
the
on
last.
a snap count?
You just spewed it because he came in late into training camp. Did we just
You
forget
don't
that?
think he's been
I do, but we talked about this before our home league draft. Game shape is different than what CD was doing outside of the facility, man. It's
Okay.
gonna be.
okay?
And what did
So
you?
if you're
What
not
was your
gonna-
like? What was your stat that you gave me about holdouts that went this long?
40% statistical decrease. Unfortunately,
Why is he gonna go off in a bad matchup against the Browns?
unfortunately, those other teams had
Dylan
other
brings up
weapons
valid
they can
points.
use. The Cowboys legit have nothing other than CeeDee Lamb. If you tell me Brandon Cooks is the guy that can get them the win this week, you're fucking high. I'm sorry
I
for
don't think
saying
they're gonna
being
win.
so blunt. If Cowboys want to win, it has to go to CeeDee Lamb. So that's the game plan. I don't care if you're not ready. You're seeing 15 targets, bro. Get ready.
You want to win? Let Booby spin.
Exactly. If you want to win, let CD spin.
LaPlante, who you got here is your sweet play.
It's not low hanging fruit. It's a little bit better of a play that's somebody could actually benefit from. Jerome Ford. He is my sweet player of the week.
So you're telling me someone can't benefit from starting CD Lamb, who's gonna drop 20 points, but hey, you know what?
Everybody's starting CD Lamb.
But he can win you a week.
Starting him.
Yeah, this is how I felt when you. This is how
a week.
This is how I felt when you started to show off with Bijan Robinson.
Bijan was completely disappointing last year. CD was not disappointing.
What is the point of that?
He finished wide receiver 1. Bijan, what was he? A RB 13?
Who cares?
If that.
We made it to an hour and 8.
CD is the only option in the offense. The fucking Falcons have like 4.
Jesus.
LaPlante, who you got?
It's Jerome Ford. It's his backfield for at least 4 weeks with Chubb on the pup, and I still think it's Ford is playable when Chubb comes back. It's Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. I mean, he is really the guy here. We talked about Deshaun Watson most likely struggling here in this matchup, so they're going to have to work in Jerome Ford. So I don't hate that call. It's just kind of to be honest. Next game here, guys, we got Washington Commanders taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike, we'll let you start. Washington's getting 4 on the road here against Tampa Bay. Who you got here, Mike, with your sweet play?
Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Commanders were the second best matchup for wide receivers last year, and they did not do a damn thing to fix it. They're hoping
on that Stickman Forbes Come up, man.
I'm gonna piggyback off that. Chris Godwin was also put into his designed role, which he was also destined for, which is the
Andy
slot.
Cohen's new offense.
Oh,
Yep.
yes. Godwin is also mine.
It's another reason I like Baker. Chris and Mike Evans are going to have good weeks, I feel
The
like.
only thing that I'm worried about is the weather. You're going to have to look out for that. I'm pretty sure I heard it was going to be like downpour rain.
And if it is weather, I feel like it benefits Chris Godwin more than it benefits Mike. Because Mike Evans
definitely
gets the deep targets.
Yeah, Mike Evans, I think it would also benefit Rashad White too, but.
Was he your sweet pick as well, Mike? Chris Godwin? All in?
Yeah.
Or you guys someone different?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Who's your guys' sour place?
We might have the same for this one.
Go for it.
Austin Eckler?
No, but it's his running mate, Brian Robinson.
Oh, wow.
Because I think people are starting Brian Robinson. I feel like people are starting Brian Robinson over Austin Eckler.
I'm starting him over Tony Pollard this week. So tell me why I shouldn't do that, LaPlante.
The Bears matchup is a tough matchup too. But just the run game matchup against the Buccaneers is worse. Fourth toughest matchup against running backs last year. Jaden Daniels is probably going to cut down the ceiling of both running backs in this situation with vulturing some touchdowns on the ground. We saw it in preseason. They plan on using him in the design runs in the red zone. So I just feel like if you got a solid option, which Dylan, Tony Pollard is not a solid option against the Bears, so I would still be starting Brian Robinson. But someone like James Conner, for instance, like somebody you're, a fan of, I'd be starting James Conner over Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But Ike, leading into your fade here, Jamie said Brian Robinson top 20, Eckler is dust. Why are you out on Eckler this week? Because he's dust?
Yeah. We saw him last year, man. Did you see how slow the dude looked? Come on.
Yeah.
He made his living off receiving. We all know that. He caught 100 balls 2 years ago, which guided him to the top RB finish.
Not as many balls as you caught.
I was going to say the 20 touchdowns helped too.
Jaden Daniels, a running quarterback, which we know based off pass, they don't like dumping it off very much. They would rather run the ball, so that just hurts Austin Eckler even more. It just makes me even more out on him. He'll see very little touches, 5 to 10. I don't know why you're out on Brian Robinson. That's kind of weird since he never finished below RB3 all of last year. But, hey, that's fine.
2-5 just dropped a pick 6 for the Packers, too, on plant with the Falcons.
Is that Xavier?
Going into no, it's Knicks.
Oh.
That's fun.
Yeah. Eagles trying to score here to extend the lead to 8. Well, more than that if it's a touchdown. We can move on, right? I think we're through the Commanders Bucking. All right. 2 games left, boys.
Jamie's got some B-Rob stats. Hold on.
Alexander just picked Jalen Hurts off in the end zone. Jalen doing some weird things tonight, man. Awfully weird stuff.
I think the defense is also playing more aggressive too for the Packers.
Weird game. But Sunday Night Football, fellas, we got a good matchup here. We got the Los Angeles Rams led by Matthew Stafford getting 4.5 points on the road, going back to Ford Field, taking on the Detroit Lions. Ike, we'll start with you. Who you got here?
The guy who won it all fantasy season, Amon-Ra St. Brown, is obviously the guy you got is the sweet pick. Last year against the Rams in playoffs, he saw 9 targets, 7 catches, 110 yards. No touchdowns, but still saw the workload. All of 2023, he actually saw 13 games where he had 8+ targets. The dude just gets volume. We've known this for the past few years. He should be a top 5 wide receiver consistently. He did good against the Rams against the playoffs. There's no reason why he shouldn't be the guy that can win you a week.
Yeah, I hear you. LaPlante, who you got here as your sweet player?
It's his running mate, Sam Laporta. Rams were 4th best matchup against tight ends last year. And he's the second receiving option for Goff. So I feel like it's a, easy lock it in touchdown week for Laporta.
I might be stepping on your sour plays. I don't know who they are, but are you guys confident in Jameer Gibbs this week?
There's
Coming
my
off
sour
the
guy.
hamstring injuries, or you are sour on him. You are sour on him, Mike. So give your take here about Jameer Gibbs.
I just think they're going to limit his workload. I don't see him playing as much. He is a big, important part of this offense. They're going to need him for the playoffs eventually, which they are supposed to make. So why not like Jamie just said, let Monty take the workload? Why not? It's not like it's going to affect Jameer Gibbs' confidence. He knows what's going on.
You're okay with putting Pandora back in the box for a week?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. LaPlante, who you got here?
You're gonna laugh at me. It's Kyron Williams. I like Kyron Williams, going into draft season, but he's got a terrible matchup week 1 against the Lions. They're the toughest matchup against the running backs. I mean, it's a really tough matchup, and the ceiling is capped here. You're hoping he falls into the end zone. He may push his way, to a 20-point week, if he gets as much volume as last year, but we're not expecting as much volume as last year. I'm not, over exaggerating like you guys, on the volume that's going to be taken away, but it's still a tough matchup. Plus you get volume taken away. I think Kyron Williams is a sour pick this week.
I don't like Kyron this week either, man. Like you said, the matchup's not good. The Rams, if they want to, they could just chuck the ball all over on this Lions defense. I know they tried to improve things.
Yeah, Puka and Cooper Kupp are going to be top.
Yeah. Yep. Don't sleep on Colby Park. Don't sleep on Colby Parkinson either, man, as a DFS start throw streaming option this week. Josh Jacobs having a nice night tonight, guys. He just broke off.
Their third wide receiver is Demarcus Robinson still, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he might not be a bad DFS guy. Cheap.
Start there. Interesting. But one more game, fellas. Monday Night Football. New York Jets. Mr. Aaron Rodgers back. Ike's boy. Jets are getting 4.5 on the road in San Francisco, trying to bounce back from a gut-wrenching Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs. LaPlante, we'll start with you here, fella. Who is your sweet play in this Jets 49ers matchup?
Well,
don't say Christian McCaffrey.
Well, don't you know, fella? It's Garrett Wilson. It's not Christian McCaffrey.
He would.
I mean, you can just throw much easier on the 49ers defense than you can run the ball. And I think, just the same reason that Anthony Richardson has something to prove, so does Aaron Rodgers going, after the Achilles injury on Monday night last year. I think Garrett Wilson eats this
top
week.
10 in targets last year with absolutely brutal quarterback play. He now has a Hall of Fame quarterback that can actually get him the ball where he wants it. Expect a breakout year. I expect a big year from Garrett Wilson for sure.
I like it. Mike, we'll
Garrett
stay with
Wilson's
you.
winning you weeks this week.
Who's your sour play, man? Mike, go ahead.
Oh, me? It's yeah. I mean,
Mike.
you call him Ike, but you've been calling us both Mike. So
No, I've strictly been called Ike, I think.
I don't recall that.
Strictly
But I am
80s
watching the game
Joel.
over here a little bit.
We're strictly 80s Joel.
God damn it, we're off the rails. My sour pick is Brandon Ayuk.
God.
Jets were the toughest matchup for wide receivers last year. He's got the statistical drop off because he's missed training camp as well, so it's just a bad mix for Brandon Ayuk, I think.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, no,
totally
man,
shit the bed for you guys there. I also had Brandon Ayuk.
Good job.
That's
also
the lowest
feel
hanging fruit, guys. I get it.
Let's go with Deebo Samuel too, just because the Jets have allowed the least amount of points to wide receivers last year, so that also helps.
Jets defense
But I
is
said
hard,
Ayuk
man.
because
So good.
Sauce is going to be on Ayuk more than likely over Deebo.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't love either of them here, man. It's could be.
They
a long
actually
time.
allowed
starting- you're
6
starting
less
CMC.
fantasy points per game to wide receivers than the next best team.
I mean, man, if you got a better option, but that's the thing, you probably don't got a better option than Brandon Ayuk. You're starting Ayuk, you're starting Debo, but they're just sour picks this week.
Like, would you rather have Christian Kirk or Brandon Ayuk here? Would you still go Ayuk, you think?
I'd still go Ayuk because at least, the volume still favors Ayuk, even if there's statistical drop off.
This could be
Not
one
really.
too. What about what you guys both like?
Because
Chris
that could be
Godwin?
a blowout, or that could
would
be
you-
a shootout for Jaguars. I don't see Jets 49ers being a shootout. I think that's more defense.
You just paid Ayuk that money, and you're not going to at least give him 8 targets a game?
He doesn't see 8 targets many times. He's more of like a 5 to 6 target guy. Put him in the red zone, get that touchdown.
Good stat here from Jamie as well. Sauce allows 3.6 targets worth of 58% catch rates. That's like 3 fantasy points. Yeah, man,
It just depends on who he's on. Who they gonna put him on? I'm assuming Ayuk. He fits better with Ayuk.
Chris Godwin or Brandon Ayuk this week, fellas?
Godwin instantly.
All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. That wraps up our
I enjoyed it.
game previews. We ripped through it. Hopefully, you guys like the new thing we're doing with the sweet and sour plays. Hopefully, we helped you with your fantasy lineups. But yeah, if with us on our way out, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. We're also not done this weekend. Football's coming Sunday, and Michael Plant and myself, we're back with the Sunday Social again. Super excited about it. We're starting at 10:30 Eastern time with a 15-minute segment with Alan Sandage to talk about his 5 or 6 best bets. I think he said he's got. And Joe Bond is coming on with. We're going to discuss his rankings where he differs from the consensus for this week. Then Jordan Schultz is joining Mike and myself. We're going to do the start sit segment for an hour. And then, guys, we got the DFS guys back as well. We got Chris Robin and Keith Fleming taking us all the way up to kickoff, talking their favorite DFS plays, some guys they're fading. So make sure to check that out at Sunday. Once again, it starts at 10:30 Eastern time. So it's going to be an awesome stream. Make sure to check it out. But I don't think I missed anything. So we're going to go ahead and head out, and we'll catch you guys on Sunday. The candy shop is closed. Bye, everybody.